being present here. So, enjoying the violin play of Marie Mariton, something like this. Beautiful. I love it. So thank you so much for joining today in the Art of Unconditional Love. And so that's great. Now we're getting back into the arts. The Art of Unconditional Love, which is in fact something you practice all day long, whether you know it or not. So this is lovely. And today this subject on the EVHub website says sex and love. Now that's interesting. Now what are we going to do with that? How is that supposed to look now? In your awakening, is that different? In your huge transformation that you're undergoing, where everything is being turned upside down, how is your experience of sex and love, or relationships, or who knows how you, what you encounter? So that's why this is an essential step. So actually it's in 2 stages. One of them today, then sex and love. Next week, the direction of miracle impulses. Now those two have a relationship. You might not recognize that right away, but after today it's probably is going to be clear where I'm heading with this. So here it is. It's like, sex. So for sex you need a body, right? At least that's what we think. And even though, say, coming from a caregiver's background, in some past, seeing people completely being, there's a word for that. So they can't move. They're unable to get their bodies moving. Distortion of the neurologic center. Seeing that a couple together were perfectly capable of having such an incredible intimate relationship while not being able to touch one another whatsoever, because their physicality was basically not ready, not able to use at all. And that was in the early 2000s that I saw that for the first time, like being expressed by 2 persons who I gave care to. Now this is interesting, of course, but anyway, so here you are with a body that functions in some kind of way, and seeing that most of your communication is working by use of the body. So that means then sexuality or intimacy is probably also going to be expressed through physical use of the physical body. And so that in your transformation, you could say that works just as well, of course. Like you eat too, and you drink too, and you, all this is like you use your body. You have a temporary use of a body for the function of communication, as we learn in A Course in Miracles. Like the body has the function of being an instrument, as Joel would say, like being an instrument. Also, like a vehicle, a vehicle that carries you. So a vehicle that you use very creatively too. And sexuality might be a way that you use your body also creatively. And so in our long history of mysticism, like 2,000 years, more, 5,000 years, probably longer, there has always been tension regarding sexuality or lust, or all these say, attributes of related to the human body. Now there has been punishment in that direction by expressing it in a certain way. There has been this and there has been that. Like, I don't have to tell you the whole story, the whole history of it. But basically, for a long time, it has been, said to be like, if you wanna dedicate your life to God, you have to give that up, right? Like this kind of thing. It's like a sacrifice is asked. Now you can ask, like, is that necessary in your transformational journey? Do you need to sacrifice your sexual desires? Do you need to sacrifice your sexual relationships and say, like, okay, well, that's enough now. I'm dedicating my life to God, and that's it. Like, that would only work for a very short time, probably. Or you get all kinds of deviant ways in which it will come to the surface, like we see in Catholicism a lot. Like there's suppressed sexual energy, you could say, suppressed ideas about expressing this sexual energy, thinking that it needs to be suppressed because it's not godly. Now, that is not working very well, is it? Not in Catholicism, at least, and many other places either. Like the suppression of sexual energy is not going to be the answer to finding your freedom, even while you're here. So that's a good start, isn't it? So it's like one way or another, you cannot avoid dealing with it. Since it's an integral part of your humanness, but also maybe even more than that, maybe even beyond your humanness, there is an energy, a passionate energy, a passionate creative energy that is running through you, that is, coming into expression, and in such a way that why not give that space? Why not allow that to come into a whole new idea too? And we go through this, we take another look at it today. So we'll take it easy. So today we take it easy. I'm introducing you to, you might have heard of it or not, it's like a course of love. That's a three volume book. Also a download from Jesus, probably in 2004, I think it came to, into form, received by Mary Perron, and she received it, 3 books, and in book 1 there's a specific section that I like to listen to with you, which is called Physical Reality. And this specific chapter has an comfort that I love to bring in right away before we start to take a look at what A Course in Miracles says. It's like the words from A Course in Miracles not well understood or not well received for yourself, you might easily use as you use everything as a human being, namely to attack yourself. And this introduction by A Course of Love will help you to go down a little bit into the heart level of receiving what is actually being shared. So this too we use in A Course in Miracles to actually come to a deeper understanding, but also a deeper experience of ourselves, and in fact a release and possibility to freedom on a level that you might not have been in touch with. So this is what I'm offering today in what I share, with that, not only with that intention, with my own experiences regarding this, that this is given, this is how that develops. This will give you a greater insight in how to look at anything, but also at sexuality, for instance, and love. A Course of Love, Book 1, Treatise on the Personal Self, the 3rd treatise, Chapter 19, Physical Reality. You must not fear the changes that will occur within your physical form as it begins to be guided by the thought system of the truth rather than the thought system of illusion. You will fear these changes less if you realize that all that has come of love will be kept and that all that has come of fear will fall away. You have no need to fear that the end of the special relationship will separate you from your loved ones. You have no need to fear that the joys you have shared with others will be no more. You have no more need to fear the loss of physical joys than you have to fear the loss of mental or spiritual joys. For ages, man has thought that spiritual joy diminishes physical joy. While there is no physical joy that is limited to the physical, no joy felt by the physical form alone, the joy that comes from things physical can certainly still be experienced and expressed. This is no call for judgment upon the physical. How could this be true when the physical is now called upon to serve the greatest learning humankind has ever known? Put these fears to rest. For ages, physical reality has been linked to temptation of the human experience. Let us now dispel this link. The physical form has been blamed for choices made from lust and greed, hate and fear, vengeance and retribution. These things have always had as their cause the thought system of the ego or the bitterness of the heart. As cause and effect are one, there is no effect to be seen in physical form without corresponding cause birthed in the ego thought system or the bitterness of the heart. That these feelings can be acted out by the body and in the acting out cause harm to other bodies is the cause for blame and fear of the body. So too is it with actions linked with survival needs. For ages, the survival needs of the body have gone unquestioned and been held tantamount. The will of the body to survive has thus been blamed for all actions that have arisen from real and perceived lack. Yet the body was no will, and the survival of the true self is not based upon it. Because the spiritual life has been so often linked with celibacy, I will mention sexual union specifically here to put behind you any fear that you may have that an end to sexual union may be called for. While some of you may have less desire for physical joining as you become more aware of unity, some may have more desire for physical joining as an expression of that union. Neither option is reason for judgment. There is only one distinction that need be made: what comes of love and what comes of fear. All expressions of love are maximal benefit to everyone. While you may, for a while yet, not see that all that are not expressions of love are expressions of fear, I assure you this is the case. Thus, any behavior, including sexual behavior, that is not of love is of fear. All that comes of fear is nothing. What this means is that cause and effect are not influenced by what comes of fear. You may think that suffering and bad behavior have had great effects, but they have not. At times the love that is received following suffering, or that may arrive due to the reason of some affliction, may be seen as lessons learned from suffering or affliction, but this is no more the case than it was the case in regards to our discussion of extremes. There is no longer any time to waste on such illusions. The thought system of the truth sees no value in suffering and so sees it not in truth. The thought system of the truth is a thought system that is not split by varying goals and desires. It is a thought system of unity. It is a thought system of one thought, one goal. That goal is the original thought that began the experience in physical form, the thought of expressing the self in observable form. Leave all blaming of the body behind and see not as the source of temptation of the human experience. The true source of these temptations has been revealed to lie within the faulty beliefs to which the body merely responded. The body's response to the new thought system will be different in many ways, none of which will lead you to feel that you have lost anything of value to you. While others still remain tied to the old thought system, human behavior will still reflect harmful actions that will seem to arise from bodily temptations. Although you will now represent who you are in physical form in a new way, you can still see that your actions of the past represented who you believed yourself to be. Thus, those continuing to express themselves in harmful ways are deeply entrenched in false beliefs about themselves. Because they are not expressing who they are, their expressions are meaningless and have no effect in truth, but only in illusion. To live in truth is to live without fear of the meaningless acts of those living in illusion, because they will be unable to cause effect in the house of truth. These lessons could not be taught while blame remained within your thought system. No victim is to blame for the violence done to them. No sick person is to blame for the illness within them. But you must be able to look at and see reality for what it is, just as we are telling you that new beliefs and ideas will lead to a new reality. Old beliefs and ideas led to the old reality, a reality that will still exist for some, even after it changes completely for you. This will even seem even more inconsistent with a benevolent universe than it once did of the difference between one reality and the other. A difference that couldn't be seen until it was represented in an observable manner, something you will now do. You would think that this disparity would be divisive and extremely uncomfortable and even rage-producing for those still living in illusion. But it will be much more tempting to be divisive, uncomfortable and rage-producing for those living in the new. Many who observe the new from the house of illusion will still be able to deny what they see. Just think of how many saints and miracles you have heard of in the past without being moved to believe that they mean anything at all about the nature of who you are. This is why no more time can be wasted and why so many are being called in the strongest manner it is possible to call them. It is only when what is observable is so widely evident that it can be no longer denied that changes of a large scale will begin to be seen. You will be tempted to return to the house of illusion to gather those within and bid them join you in the reality of the truth. But in this time of Christ, a new time, a time without parallel or comparison, this will not be possible. It has been said from the beginning that your role will not be to evangelize or to be convincing. You cannot argue the case of truth in the courtroom of illusion. While this would seem to leave some without hope, it will leave no one without choice. It will make the one clear and only choice evident. It is the choice to live in truth or in illusion. There are many ways that can still be found to come to the truth. Getting to the truth will become so attractive that few will be able to resist. What will make this choice so attractive will not be martyrs and saintly souls stricken with every calamity, and yet remaining to tell those who would listen about the glory of God. What will make this choice so attractive are ordinary people living extraordinary and miraculous and observable lives. Amen. Amen. Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, that's so great. So I love this part from A Course of Love. That's why I used it. And it is like... it gives you immediately a place where you can step in understanding, in recognition, in all of this. So I only introduced this today. I introduced this to be comforted by it. And that's a matter of, well, listen to it again, or listen to it a couple of times, or read that specific chapter. A Course of Love is a book. You can get it. You can read it. You can, yeah, all this. So this is really lovely. I'm using this, like I said, to comfort. And why is there so much necessity for comfort here? Like what is going on in this specific episode of The Art of Unconditional Love? You could ask. And the thing is, to be, in fact, on this subject, helpful, to be transparent in a certain sense, to be supportive. I just want to express, like I always do, like only that is helpful to you, that I recognize myself to be helpful for me. And keeping my mind open, and also respect all the places in your transformational process where you could reside at this point of time, because there's a transition going on. There's a celestial evolution, you could say, going on, a revolution, you can certainly say. So here there was referred to the idea of the time of Christ. Are you recognizing that you live in the time of Christ? Since you have recognized the Christ, you live in the time of Christ, nourishing your Christ child, in fact. So it's good to take a look at certain aspects regarding what is going on in your transformational development, regarding physicality, regarding sexuality, regarding forms of communication, because that is important. You see too, it's like it evolves. For some there's no sexual desires at a certain point. For many, or for some, there's an increase of the desire for sexuality in the transformation. Now, all is well, like all that is fine. Now, let me just start with an expression to keep it structured here. So I do this for myself too. And I use A Course in Miracles because Jesus here directly talks about sexuality. Now here, we start this chapter 1. So there's always a comparison to Revelation because of the intimacy. You'll see this. It's like this intimacy that you're looking for is genuine. It is. I always think I'm going to read and I want to introduce it. So it's like you... The point of revelation is this. It's like it comes to you whenever it comes to you. It's a direct communication from God to you. And it takes away doubt and fear for the moment that you undergo this revelation. So it's an actual experience, but one that comes to you completely. And that is it. But a lot happens then, because in fact, you experience such an incredible intimacy and connectedness that you couldn't find anywhere else. Now, having had these revelations, I know what I'm talking about. It is like, it cannot compare with anything in this world. You could say even sexual experiences or whatever. It's like, oh no, this is of a different order. I'm not saying better or more. No, it is say almost like an integrated, integral communication. A communication where you recognize your oneness with your source. Not to be talked about, like there's no way I can express it. But it sets the tone, you could say. Like everything, then still you could say like, well, after that, do you still desire a sexual relationship? It's like, yeah, absolutely, yeah. It doesn't contradict that. But it is different because of the fact that you have this experience, you could say. This is a memory, has become a memory and recognition that, is like that is not in comparison with. No, it is also the same as, I still eat, yes, I do. I still breathe too, yes. Even though I have sufficient experiences not being a body, being taken completely out of this. But yes, I'm still breathing. It doesn't contradict that at all. It's like that's the paradox that we walk around in. So, it's like to make this complicated would be to emphasize the reality of it. And there's no necessity to do that. So this is, in other words, I'm trying to keep this simple in a certain sense and transparent, easy, in fact. Not making a big deal out of it. No, just in fact, come here to clarify, to have this so clear that it's never going to be a problem. Like that would be a desire. You could say like, shut up for a moment and read it. Okay. Revelations induce complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. They represent the original form of communication between God and his souls before the intrusion of fire and ice made this impossible. The intrusion of fire and ice. It should be noted that they involve an extremely personal sense of closeness to creation, which man tries to find in sexual relationships. And maybe sometimes finds it. Who knows? This confusion is responsible for the depression and fear, which are often associated with sex. So this confusion, it is looking for that, but it cannot find it, and it leads to a confusion. This confusion is responsible for the depression and fear, which are often associated with sex. So, and here we say, like, revelations induce a complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. So, talking about a deep experience, yes, this is one, but this one is, you could say, setting you free. This one experience, a revelation, is setting you free from doubt and fear for a moment. Completely. Like, no side effects, no after party, no nothing. Like, sets you completely free. That, like, it's a pure receptivity, pure receptance of an actual occurrence and direct communication with God. That's, you could say, that's love, huh? Love recognizing itself, you could say. So really beautiful. Now this is what you're looking for in sexual relationships, and I don't know what your experiences are, and I don't need to know either. but it's like the looking for that closeness, in fact, in which you completely dissolve with the divine, with the universe, with no after effect, is what you would love as an ideal relationship, you could say. And why am I saying this? Well, coming back to the sexual relationship, it's like if there are bodies involved, there's an exchange going on, but also an exchange on a physical level. And this exchange on a physical level is also an exchange on memory level, physical memory level. And that's not bad, but it is a part of it. So that's why you could say, like, it is free in your experience of yourself. It is free to be there. It's free to exchange that, or to live that, so to speak. No problem. Sure. But it is not universal in that sense. It is not universal. If it would be a universal experience, you would be able to, in fact, open that up to everyone you meet, with no you could say social laws of relationship. Now we have done this, now you have to stay with me. You're mine. Yes, I want that again. Now you have to do that again. And it has to look like that. And, like these laws that you put on top of it, of what you expect and want and desire. What you desire has already a form. Now it cannot be free because you already made it into a form. It's like, I'm not saying anything new. This is what you know, but it's like this is an essential part. Now coming back then to direct communication with your brother, like the miracle, is then recognizing that in your love for your brother, which is also like a totally intimate moment, but on a whole, almost like impersonal level, you experience your common source, your love for your brother, without any physical exchange at all. Completely recognizing that the open minds communicate, that they recognize their common source, directly receiving that, finding yourself in communication, like instantaneous. So this can happen with anyone, at any time, at any place. It is not limited to a bedroom or wherever, or wherever you practice it. Like, no, this can happen literally everywhere. Same with revelation, it can happen everywhere. And it will not disturb, in that sense. It will not be an event unless you take part in it. It is an event. So this is what I'm trying to express here. It's like the freedom that comes with that it's amazing, because it is what you will recognize. This is my experience, of course, that I'm talking about. Like I discovered the freedom that I was always looking for in relationships was given me in the miracle and experiencing the holy instant together with my brother. Like, that is exactly the offering, in fact. It's like, yeah, that is what I was looking for. Basically, that is total love for your brother. It's the art of total love, you could say. Unconditional, with no deconditions. Like, you can love somebody completely, but you can also, the day after, so to speak, set already a set of rules in action in order to protect that. Now, well, what I'm talking about is free constantly. It releases itself by being open, by letting that occur, by staying present, and all this, like, that is a possibility. And it's the easiest and most natural one too. And it's part of you could say, part of the program, part of the awakening through, for instance, using A Course in Miracles. This is what you will discover as one way to be present. So if you recognize this, lovely, great, of course. Like, of course you can recognize this. And if this is new to you, well, great. Now you've discovered something that you thought might exist, but now actually you can experience it here with me if you want. Like, yeah, this is the intimacy we're talking about. This is that what you are looking for in a relationship, like the recognition in say a huge scale, recognizing your source together and your oneness with your brother, of course. The pleasure which is derived from sex as such is reliable only because it stems from an error which man shared. Awareness. Oh wait, I have to let someone in. Awareness of the error produces the guilt. Denial of the error results in projection. Correction of the error, so there are three things. Correction of the error brings release. Now let's get back to what is this saying. The pleasure which is derived from sex as such is reliable only because it stems from an error which man shared. What is this error? This error is in fact that you think that your level of experience is physical. That's in truth eyes, you could say, is an error. It's not that something went wrong, but it's more like, well, you have to believe that you can experience it there in order for it to work. You know what I'm saying? So awareness of the error produces guilt. It's like, well, I know better. Truth is true, and it has nothing to do with my physicality directly. Denial of the error results in projection. So denial of the error is like trying not to think about that, is something like you try to suppress it in a certain sense. Correction of the error brings the release. It's like if you allow it to be corrected, it is like invite Jesus into your bedroom or wherever. It's like invite Jesus or Holy Spirit into your mindset. Like allow the correction to take place. If anything needs to be corrected, like we said in the beginning, it all depends on where do you experience yourself, in what level of experience are you in. I'm just offering you other possibilities, you could say, that might surprise you for their universal application, to say the least. So this is then the fact that you would protect it and want to keep it would prevent you from the healing that could take place. And the healing in terms of an openness to a new experience of yourself, even more. It's like, absolutely. Sex is often associated with lack of love. But revelation is purely a love experience. Now you can read this as sex is the same as lack of love. Well, that is not true. No, it's often associated with it. It doesn't mean that it has to be like that, but it is often associated with it. But revelation is purely a love experience. Physical closeness cannot achieve this pure love experience. And you understand that when you experience revelation. Till that time, you think there's nothing but the sexual experience that would really be the top of your peak experience, you could say. But with revelation, that all shifts around and changes. Physical closeness cannot achieve this. As said before, the subconscious impulses properly induce miracles which are interpersonal and result to closeness to others. This can be misunderstood by a personally willful consciousness as an impulse towards sexual gratification. Now you have to be careful reading this too, because I made the mistake not to do that. For instance, I've misunderstood this expression. So this can be misunderstood by a personally willful consciousness as an impulse toward sexual gratification, is in fact confusing the miracle impulse with a sexual impulse. So the miracle impulses, the subconscious impulses that are coming up in you as a desire, as a need, as a desire for union, for instance, it's an interpersonal one. It results in closeness to others. And it can be misunderstood, thinking that you need to bring it into a physical expression. But that doesn't need to be that way. So here, here's another expression. The revelation unites souls directly with God. See, we come back to revelation the whole time, because not that I put it next to it as a comparison, but it's more like you just have to know what is available to you. Okay, sexual fantasies are distortions of perception by definition. They are a means of making false associations and obtaining pleasure for them. Man can do this only because he is creative. But although he can perceive false associations, he can never make them real except to himself. As was said before, man believes in what he creates. If he creates a miracle, he will be equally strong in his belief in that. The strength of his conviction will then sustain the belief of the miracle receiver. All these words, what does it mean? See, this is why I read something from A Course of Love, but when I listen to it now myself, I think like, wow, that is still a lot of words, that is still a lot of nuance in expression to come to a clarity, and that's so interesting. So to keep it simple, we make it complicated first, and then go back to we as teachers of God, you could say, we make it complicated first and then go back to the essence of it, recognizing that it's so simple, but you wouldn't take it if it was simple. Otherwise you already would have accepted it. All right, so now what? Maybe time for a love song, for just a little of relaxation together. Let's do that. So, bringing this back here. So the great thing we can experience, in fact, it's like, what is so attractive for you to listen to this? It's like, what is so attractive to be part of this? What brings you back to this discipline? What does bring you back to this experience, to this adventure that we're on together? Like, what is that? And that is a strong desire. It's like, in a certain sense, truth becomes so attractive that you don't know where to get it from, except, of course, within yourself. And any place that you're reminded of it is such an oasis, you could say, that brings you back to the reality of you. And so that's not something to be underestimated, of course. It's like, it said it too in the Course of Love, it's like, it becomes so attractive to you. Truth becomes so attractive to you. It might just drive you nuts in a certain sense, like you want to experience it. Above all else, you want to experience it. Well, if it is above all else, it becomes pretty passionate altogether. Like, then you become, you could say, like, you become the revelation ready. When that level is so up, your passion for it is so up. So now, I think that is an important thing that we recognize. It's like, whether you are seeing these videos or whether you're coming to these meetings, you'll recognize that. You know that your ultimate freedom lies in truth, in you, and not anywhere else. So does that exclude anything? No, that not necessarily. No, sure not. No, but it does direct your actions, like it does direct your attention. It does direct your level of experience. So that it's like step by step, you see that you're undergoing this process, seeing that things fall away, that are not contributing to that any longer. Just like I said yesterday with cleaning up your house and things that were so precious to you, you actually give them away or let them be for whatever they are. Suddenly you have that. You clean your house from your old memories, or you clean out your books with all the spiritual diversity that is available, and all this is like that is all happening because in fact your desire becomes unified to the one desire for the Father. Now that sounds very beautiful and holy, but then the next day it's like, how about how about your sexuality? It's like how much is left over of that, or how do you deal with that? Now I don't have an answer for you, except for the fact that it will not be any different than you would start any other day in terms of, well, are you going to make the decisions yourself about what to do, where to go, and all this? No. So you are in a procedure where you discover the value of guidance and the value of staying present in the moment, not tempting yourself with future fantasies, whether they are sexual or not. It doesn't even matter. It's all the same stuff, you could say, the same imagining that you do. But coming back to this present moment, in fact, allowing the world to collapse all the time, makes it that you are present here to receive this guidance that is given you all the time. Now, this guidance takes care of in fact, all your actions too, because they're in alignment with it when you allow that to occur. If you still have an idea about how things should look or what you absolutely don't want to lose, that will determine your level of experience. See, that's not any different than anything else. So here is really where something happens. In fact, in terms of healing, like the guidance is still the same. You always come back to this present moment. Are you willing to receive what is given? Are you choosing for love, for openness, or are you choosing for fear, thinking that something, that you might lose something, or you might lose grip or control, or who knows what? Like that goes into every step along the way. Now that is the guidance that is given and that I'm reminding you of, no matter what the subject is. So that makes it back again like universal, you could say, but also it's like you never have to limit yourself in any way, but the invitation is to hand everything over in the first place, so that you know that every need will be fulfilled, that every before you ask, it is already given. Now this sense of fulfillment, this gift is given you in every instant, and however that looks in form, is not up to you. It will present itself. And how is that relating then to sexual experiences? Well, even in that, like if that is the occurrence that has to take place, you could say it will be given. That will come your way too, in whatever form, in whatever moment. Like, don't exclude anything, is what I'm saying. It's like the freedom lies in not excluding it. No, completely including it all. Don't make it any thing that stands outside of it. Otherwise, you will have it come back to you, just like the priests and who knows who suppress the sexual energy and see it come back all the time in all kinds of perversities, and it doesn't work. We've tried, it didn't work, so we gave up on that. So that's a decision that we make today. It's like we give up on that. There's no way of doing that. There's no need to do that. We include the whole of humanity, every expression of it in totality, or we exclude it completely, which would make this like a failed mission. Like, no, we include it all in, but we stick with our guidance. We come back to this moment. We drop our ideas. We release our ideas, and here we walk, step by step, moment by moment, receiving, trusting, living in the confidence that everything is given in the right moment, in the way that is for you. It's like just like that. Like that will happen, not by your force or control. No, by you giving space to all of it, including everyone and everything in. So that sounds like a beautiful message. It is. It is. And it's a practice that we do. It's like this comes back in every layer of your experience, in every item in your experience. And it is there for healing and for acceptance, not for rejection or suppression. So it's so great, it's such liberating idea that is in fact being shared. So this is what I had in the beginning, like I don't know how to express this, but when I want to come to the point where you see how valuable, in that sense, everything is, in order to discover what the real meaning of it is, or the real thing behind it all, like the absolute closeness with your Creator, the absolute oneness with your Creator, because this is kind of practical. It's like the pleasure which is derived from sex as such is reliable only because it stems from an error which man shared. Like, awareness of the error produces the guilt, denial of the error results in projection. So you're going to project it onto your brother, blaming him, for instance, or activities like that. Or correction of the error brings the release, where you, in fact, give up the shared idea of error. Now, why am I bringing this back up? So there's something there that can help us. That's why it comes up. Otherwise, it wouldn't come up. So the correction of errors. Like, now, error sounds like you did something wrong. That's not so. Like, error, you could say, is you cannot experience the things beyond your realm of experience that you're in. So when you believe that this is the way that it works, well, then it works like that for you, until you discover something else. Then you see it for what it was before. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is easy. We see this in all kinds of examples. So this would be one of them then. Like, you think that you do it this way because this is the way that you do it. So that's why you think it should look like that. For instance, sexuality as being a physical attempt to communicate together and enjoy together, to experience pleasure together. That is your, say, within the realm of your experience, your way that it comes into expression. Now, that can change, of course. So suddenly your partner falls away, or who knows what happens, and you're there discovering, in fact, that there's a communication possible that doesn't need a body, for instance. Now you discovered something new, like that was a real eye-opener to me, that you can actually directly communicate with each other in a sphere, you could say, where that is recognized. You could say like-minded ones. Suddenly you recognize that you're communicating directly with one another. Great. Not by your doing. It is given. It's like it's not a force. No, it's given. It's a possibility here. And that can change too, of course. Like in the moment of direct revelation, you and God are one. That's what you experience. Not being able to express more about that. Taking away doubt and fear. Completely free of everything, because doubt and fear is really what this world is when you really take a look at it. And so the error corrected, you could say, takes place on the level of experience that you find yourself. And then when it is corrected, you see that it was an error before you didn't even know it was error. So this is why I'm bringing this in. And it's like, you hear it when you hear it. You hear it when you want to hear it. If you resist it, you will not hear it. So if you're open, you can receive this, is what I'm saying. It's like that. That's great. I made my attempt. So next week, for instance, we continue with, in fact, the same subject, but looking a little deeper at the miracle impulses, like the distortion of miracle impulses, but also the miracle impulses themselves. We have talked about that before on the levels of subconscious levels of impulses, superficial level of impulses, which you can easily grab as an attack. For instance, you feel the need to lash out, but deeper level of experience can very well be the miracle impulse. Okay, so that's the other part that we're going to look at next week. Now, I say thank you so much for your attention and taking time to listen to this, to discover with me where we can actually meet in connecting about this, including every aspect of it in, not judging or denying anything, but coming to a place where, in fact, we come to the fine arts of love, and that is just amazing. So words fail entirely. So that's why I might as well just not try to express that. So thank you so much for your presence, and see you soon. Thank you so much.